It doesn't matter what you do for a living. Standing out requires a high level of creativity, a healthy dose of ambition, and sheer grit. This is The Standouts, a show where we discuss, explore, and strategize what it takes to achieve the extraordinary. It's about finding your edge and learning how to leverage that for your own success. I'm your host, Aaron Grushow. Get ready to be inspired to blaze your own path. My guest today is an extremely forward-thinking luxury real estate agent and entrepreneur based out of Los Angeles. He's had a meteoric rise on social media, specifically TikTok, where he's grown an audience of over 500,000 people. He continues to leverage social media to grow his personal brand and expand his business in multiple ways. I'm really excited to chat with him. Arvin Haddad, welcome to The Standouts. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Yeah, I've been following you pretty closely over the past few years. Super impressed with what you've been able to build. Would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself, your background, and your journey up until this point?
So I'm a real estate agent. I specialize in ultra luxury. I'm also a content creator. Through COVID, I started getting really passionate about creating content, and that's gone well. And had recently, over the past year and a half, built my own prop tech startup, which specializes in algorithms that help forecast and time the real estate market better.
Considering a career in real estate, but need to do it based off of your schedule? Study at your own pace from a laptop, tablet, or even your smartphone. It truly does not get more convenient than this, and at such an affordable price. Just visit realestateu.com, that's you as in the letter u.com, and choose your state's licensing course. And be sure to use the discount code STANDOUTS at checkout for 20% off. Real Estate U offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can start taking your licensing course as soon as you sign up. So don't delay, head over to realestateu.com and use the discount code STANDOUTS. Make sure to share it with others eager to kickstart their real estate career so they can save 20% off as well. What inspired you to start creating content, and how far along were you in your career when you decided to, give that a good go?
So it was 4 years in, and then my wife's nieces were at our house, and they're like, "Arvin, TikTok is," and they were doing these TikTok dance moves and everything. And then they're like, "Arvin, it's a new platform. It's really taking off, and you know a lot about real estate. You should do some real estate content." And they kept telling me this over and over and over again. And, one day I was just really bored and, set up a camera. I was like, let me just shoot something, right? And I was always passionate about doing critiquing properties, because that's how my brain works, right? When I see a property, I just go through it in my head and I start analyzing it. I was like, what if I do that in front of camera, right? And then I was like, okay, read a couple blogs on YouTube videos on how to create videos. You need a hook, you need to have some sort of attention. I was like, well, let me critique some celebrity homes, right? And to be frank, I don't know many celebrities even today. I've covered their houses, but I don't know anything about them. But I was using it as a hook, right? I was like, I'm sure everyone else is interested.
Totally.
So I think I did a video on Justin Bieber, and the first video went, and I posted it on TikTok, and the first video went 60,000 views within day or two. And then I was like, holy crap. And I'd already made another video. I posted that one the next day or a few days later, and that one got 700,000 views. And I was like, oh my God, I have to take this serious, right? And it's important to note, because prior to that, I had done a TV show with Aaron Kerman, your current boss. So there was a show on CNBC called Listing Impossible. And we in 2017, we started shooting it. I think it went live, or 2017, 18, we started shooting it. It took us a year to shoot. Maybe I was in 15% of all the episodes, And just shooting that was such a hassle and such a, I would say, commitment to your time as a real estate agent. It took us days. We had to block off schedule. And I remember, as the show was premiering, Aaron would send us the reviews, like views and how many views the show got. I remember, right by the end of once all the episodes had aired. And this is pre-Peacock, streaming service. The entire 8 episodes had 750,000 views. And then, and that really put things in perspective for me because that one, my first video got 860,000 views, and second video got 750,000 views. And I was like, holy crap. Like I knew what it meant, you know? And I was like, I have to take this seriously. I've obviously touched a nerve that people are interested in. And no one else is talking about it the way I was. And, a lot of people sugarcoat the subject, and I just dive right through it, dissecting it with a surgical knife and going at it. So I understood. I understood the audience. I understood the people, and it was just like a drug. Like I was like, oh my god, like okay, I got to do this. And I told my wife was like, are you serious? You're selling, $20 million homes. Like like people at your calibers are not doing this. They're not getting on TikTok. Are you sure this is on to brand? Are you sure like this is what you're doing? Your real estate career is taken off. Like seriously, I had just sold a bunch of really big homes, and it was risky in that aspect to come up and put yourself out there and critique properties. Something that like most real estate agents are hype men. They just go in and hype it up, and and I was saying all the bad things about the property and everything. So uh, I can tell you the most. My wife was like, "This is dangerous." Like, what are you doing? But I've always listened to my heart, and I knew I was coming from a good place, and I felt like it was really important to me to do that. And I run these exercises that we can talk about it later in the video, but that I wanted to challenge myself in something else, and I happened to get traction right away, and I just never stopped after that.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot to unpack there. You made some really excellent points. I think it's very interesting when you tied, content creation on social media to the production that went into a large TV show like Listing Impossible, and how much time and energy and effort it takes to put together those huge network television shows, compared to what goes into creating short form content on social media. Uh, the production barrier has been completely broken down. And it's enabled people like you and I to create content and really get our name out there and share what we have to say to the world, in a lot more efficient way, than having to go on a show like Listing Impossible, where it's almost impossible to even get on shows like that. So yeah, I think it's really incredible that you recognized the opportunity, and it doesn't happen overnight like that for everyone, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, you definitely hit the nail right on the head. You understood the audience, and I'm sure you're still experimenting and finding the best ways to, create content and accumulate more and more, views and an audience. But I think your content really does provide a lot of value, which is different to what a lot of other maybe real estate agents or content creators are doing on the app. And I think that's why you're going to have so much longevity on the platform. And whatever you do is because I know you're very like value first. Like you're really educational in addition to being entertaining on these platforms. And that education is, I think, what really adds value. I mean, we had a very brief conversation the other day where we were talking about my content and house tours and whatnot, which I think we both agree can be entertaining, but there's not a whole lot of value there.
Yeah.
There's not really any like education or providing a sense of value, if that makes sense. And I think like you've really done a great job of creating that value for people. You said
Yeah,
you're
and I love your videos you're doing now.
Thank you.
I feel like you've been interviewing you've had some really really good interviews, and I'm really excited to see your channel grow in this format, because I like how you're clipping it in shorts as well, and it's just you have to ask really good questions. So
Thank
that's
you. Thank
exciting.
you. Yeah, the content loop I think is huge right now,
Yeah,
starting with longer form, cutting it into shorter form. I'm still, figuring it out as I go. I'm
we all are.
totally, yeah, exactly. That's the truth.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if you're me, you're Ryan Serhant, you're you or anyone, like we're all just sort of figuring it out. No one really has the answers to everything. And I think that's something to keep in mind if you're looking to start creating content. I think can be very overwhelming. You don't know where to start. But the truth is, like, none of us knew. We kind of just went for it, and something eventually stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, there's like risk involved, right? Like, do you still feel that sort of like pressure to make sure that your brand is being best represented online? Is it challenging for you? Have you ever created a video and are like, this may do very well on social media, but I don't know if this is going to best represent who I am?
Maybe in the beginning, I messed up on one of the videos. I was a little bit too mean, but I think what is super, super important is being open about the flaws of a house and what's good about it, right? Because that's the only way we can get better at purchasing better real estate. And I think as real estate agents, we've always been more on the seller side, right?
Mm-hmm.
You always think like you got to represent your seller, and you should.
Yeah.
But as a third party, right, which I am when I'm critiquing a property, I have to cover both. I have to warn what's bad for the buyer and what's good for the seller. So if you don't cover both of it, you're just not being fair. And if you're saying if you would ever think that we shouldn't talk about flaws of a property, you're only looking at it as from the side of the seller, and that's not fair either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's super important. As I've said before, every cryptocurrency, every stock, every commodity, everything gets analyzed by multiple analysts on social media, on CNN, on Fox News, on CNBC, but single family homes don't. I think single family homes are the biggest asset class in the United States, or $37 trillion. And no one, as far as I know, I'm pretty much maybe one or two people who are doing what I'm doing. So I think it's a huge opportunity. I would love other people to continue doing what I'm doing. I think you're really adding true value by giving a third person opinion. And when you look at it across many different industries, you have it in, Carfax, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have it in restaurants, Michelin stars. You have it in, restaurants, Yelp, like all that, that infrastructure already exists. But for single family homes, there's no such a thing. You have your real estate agent, right? Who we both are real estate agents, but we know real estate agents don't get paid till they sell the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not even fair to ask them, all the bad things about the property, and they kind of would tell you what's bad, but then, kind of convert it to something that could be turned good.
Right.
But it's just super, super important to give a very unbiased, just say it the way it is, say what's wrong with the property, loud and clear, and then say what's good about it. So I've never had a problem with that. And in my heart of hearts, I think it's the most. I think when I'm 80 years old and I look back, I would be very proud of it.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting perspective. Because at the end of the day, you're just being authentic, right? You're being you. You're being real, and I think that's what people really resonate with and want to see, and that's what really builds your personal brand. I'm thinking back to my own content and to a lot of people who do what I do when it comes to like the house tours, and we're oftentimes nothing but positive. Even though I'll walk through a house and I'll notice, a terrible design flaw, but I'll kind of skip over it and just try and promote the good things and be uplifting and positive. Because I don't know, I just feel like that may, I don't know, just boat over better. And I don't want to ruffle feathers, of course, but
you wouldn't be able to review the properties, right? So I don't go to the properties because no one would be like, well, only say the three good things about it.
Yeah, imagine if I'm walking through a house and the listing agent's right there, and I'm just like, oh my god, this kitchen counter is terrible. Like, who
that
thought
would be
this
your
was
last
a good
review.
idea? It totally. So, but like at the end of the day, that's not me being authentic, which is a problem. So it's something I really haven't thought about. But yeah, it's so true. That's a really, really interesting perspective.
I go to open houses. I go to all the open houses as much as I can. I try to see the properties in person that I review, and I've seen, I would say, more than half of them in person.
Mm-hmm.
and and it's just that the way my brain works. I first see the fecal matter, and then
Hmm.
I then see the positives, right? So the way I everything I look at, I'm like, how could this be better,
Right.
right? Like, so when I see the driveway, I'm like, could have this driveway been better, right? So that I'm always critiquing in my head, and it's just the process that happens in my brain when I see any properties, right? So I'm just observing, analyzing it, and then the way I decided to make my first video was like, let me document that process,
Hmm.
right? Let me document that process, what happens in my brain, and see if I can make a video out of it. And that's what I did. So it can't be even more authentic than that, so it's what happens inside me, and I'm just sharing it with other people. And even if you're and I strictly uh, review mostly mansions, right? And that's where my specialty is. That's what I learned from when I started in real estate. I started from the top, and
Hmm.
that's what I know, and I critique it. But a lot of the stuff applies everywhere. It applies to a $500,000 home in Tennessee. It's the same concept, right? You just have to scale it down. So, yeah, it's I can tell you, I'm not just super happy with what I'm doing. I'm tripling down on it. So, I think it's a slow grind, as you
Yeah.
know, but it's I think when you read the comments on my YouTube channel, you see how much people are appreciate what I'm doing, and understand that it's important to me, and they get value from it.
Definitely. Yeah. If I'm a home buyer who comes across your content and sees these realistic, authentic reviews, I definitely consider working with you because I want someone who can, be real with me and point out, flaws and things and explain why I should or shouldn't, buy this house, go this direction. And I think that may work against some agents who are that way. But ultimately, I think like you're definitely a big draw for someone who is looking to, purchase a home in Los Angeles. Have you generated leads from your social media content and like
Yeah, I
y-
have. I've had a few sales. I've had a few sales from directly from my videos,
yeah.
but also most importantly, I get a ton of referrals from older clients.
Hmm.
And the first thing they do is they look you up, and they're like, "Oh my god, okay, not just this guy knows every freaking house. He has a video about every. There's one thing to know it, and then there's one thing to teach it.
Right.
Once you start teaching it, you learn it at a way deeper level.
Totally.
So and I have, I mean, pretty much every house, over $3-4 million. I've seen it. I look at every single house that comes on the market in about 30 different neighborhoods, and I've made videos about hundreds and hundreds of them. So the immediately they get excited. They're like, okay, this guy knows his crap. He knows what he's talking about. So it also helps cement a lot of other deals that you can't really monetize it, that
Right.
way. But I've had a few sales directly, and I've have multiple very, very high end clients from it that I'm showing homes, but we haven't closed the deal yet.
Right. Yeah, I'm in a similar place, but yeah, that's awesome. I think that's so incredible. But like you were saying, there are certain deals, or when you're going on listing appointments and can share with the seller that you have this type of audience, and they look you up, and that's automatic social proof. There are ways that this benefits our business that aren't just direct leads generated from social media.
That's right.
So like I definitely, urge anyone who's interested in content creation, or just building a personal brand to explore social media because there are, so many benefits to it. How else do you think it's like impacted your real estate business outside of just content creation?
Well, I think it's pushed me to perfect my craft
Mm,
as a real estate agent myself, right? Because for example, I would just look at every single house, right, briefly, that comes on the market. I did that ever since I got into the business. Every morning, spend an hour, look at every single house that comes on the market, every house that's sold, every house that got a price reduction, every house that is back on the market, every house that went expired. So, but that was a glance. And,
hmm.
and and then, but pulling another Word doc next to it, and then critiquing it on paper, writing it down. It is just, it makes you read, when you write it down, you just get so much more detail out of it. You understand the property better. And then I think I have, as a result of it, for pricing properties, I think I have developed a incredibly strong gut intuition. It's like an AI inside me, where I see a property and I'm like, boom, this is how much it's going to go for. This is how much it's worth. This would be a good deal. This would be a bad deal. And it just happens instantly. And that only comes if you do what I do.
Yeah.
You just have to, you have to monitor every house and then analyze every single house and then look at the results of the sale. And then you just kind of build it inside you. So
Totally.
that's been really, I would say that's been really useful in my just negotiating prices, price strategies for listings, going on, where to put your first offer, if you're buying, where you want to end up. All that stuff has helped me with other deals.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you're a master of inventory at this point, which obviously is so useful when it comes to pricing properties and all of that. Tell me a little bit about the software you're developing. I know you've been working really hard on it. I see you promoting it. I'm so curious to learn a little bit more about it.
So my mission is to eliminate buyer and seller remorse in real estate, right? So I do the quality part from the videos I've already made, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are like, when you're looking to purchase a property, there's two elements that have to pay attention. Is it a good time to buy? Timing the market, right? And the other is this even a good property? Because if the property is good, it's irrelevant of the price. That's like a result of supply and demand, right? But if the property, the purchasing the property is a result of timing the market correctly. So ZipSmart.ai is an AI algorithm that tries to time the best market, and which it's down to the zip code level. We analyze about 40,000 zip codes, 3,000 counties, all the 50 states, and it gives you in version 3.0, it would give you a signal. Right? It will tell you if it's a good time to buy, if it's not a good time to buy, when will be a good time to buy, and how much we're forecasting to change in the market in each location, which is, again, another part which I think as real estate agents, we do not provide and we're incapable of providing. Even as so much I know about prices, right? About at the current moment prices, it's really hard for me to analyze that in my head, saying 6 months from now, it would be how much property would be worth it, right? But AI can do that. AI can certainly help you have a better guesstimate, right? It's not a guaranteed probability. It's probabilities. It's not certainties.
Mm-hmm.
But so the version 3.0 would basically give you a signal and tell you how much change we're expecting in how long of a period, if you should wait, if you should buy, if you should sell. With a degree of confidence. So it would tell you, for example, we're anticipating 40%, we're anticipating this neighborhood to be 40% more buyer friendly in 9 months. And we were 85% sure about that. Right. So it's very honest. And it's also approach. It would tell you, that's the confidence level based on the historical data. So it analyzes it's an incredible algorithm. I've had, PhD mathematicians working on it. I've had multiple data scientists on the team. And the front end is going to look, on the version 3.0, is going to look extremely simple, which I've learned how to simplify, being a kind of a real estate nerd myself. I think version 2.0 was a little bit heavy on the front end as far as it was overwhelming. But the version 3.0 is extremely easy to understand. But the engine is maybe 20 times more powerful than version 2.0. And we're introducing our own index for the first time in version 3.0, where we call it ZipSmart Market Pulse Index. And it's a measure of how buyer or friendly a geographical area is. And then we forecast that index 12 months out, and we give you buy or sell signals for that. So super exciting stuff. And putting these two together, the property reviews and timing the market, I'm trying to solve that, eliminating buyer and seller remorse. If you get both of it together, then you can time the market better with the help of a third party. It is unbiased because, if to real estate agents, if anyone calls you and says it's a good time to buy, of course it's a great time to buy. It's a good time to sell. It's a great time to sell. So we're really good at coming up with exact reasons why it's a great time to buy or sell at any given time. But the AI doesn't do that. The AI gives you a clear answer with a degree of confidence. Obviously, it can't predict black swan events. It can't predict random things happening to the market. But it's the best technology out there, and I think if the technology is out there, we should use it. And deep, like neck deep, into this world of AI and algorithms and machine learning, and it's super, super exciting.
That is super exciting.
Yeah.
Who are your customer segments? Is it just going to be home buyers and sellers, or do you think real estate agents are going to use this as well to be able to then share that information to their clients?
It's so funny. So I saw this. I've been working on ZipSmart for a year and a half now. And initially, when I would show it to people, to be like, "Oh, this seems like something that real estate agents would be really interested in," and I knew immediately I disagreed. I was like, "No, real estate agents don't care about prices. They want to sell and buy. The prices doesn't affect them. They just want to transact, right?" But everyone would kept telling me, Arvin's like, "This is like a good tool for agents." I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then our bigger segments are buyers, investors, sellers, and renters, and then real estate agents. Real estate agents are last. They're the least interested in the software.
I'm interested. I think this seems like an excellent tool to absorb all this information and be able to share that with, my clients.
To be frank, because I haven't put also the effort to how they can use the tool to monetize it for themselves, right? So I haven't put the effort in selling to real estate agents. Because there's a way that you could, you have to present it in a way to say, look, if you use this tool, you get this many more listings, right? If you use this tool, you will get your buyers accepted. If you do this, you will price the property right as a listing agent, and you will be able to sell it faster, which will translate. I haven't sold it, right? But I think buyers are just no-brainers. They jump on it right away. Renters also really like it. Investors love it. But it's been pretty broad. We got we got very early market fit, product market fit very early on, and that helped me build a version 2.0, and now version 3.0 is coming out, on a year and a half anniversary.
Cool, love it. Really quickly, what are your thoughts on the notion that artificial intelligence or technology in general will soon make our jobs as real estate agents, luxury real estate agents, completely obsolete? Do you think that is a possible future?
I mean, never say never, but I would say it will be higher probability in 5 to 10 years than right now. But I just don't see it coming, especially in the high end where I specialize in.
Right.
The relationship side is so strong, and the consumer wants a confidant. Consumer wants someone. They want a real estate person. They want a real estate guy, real estate gal to come in and be like, just take care of me, sell it for as high as you can. This is what I want. Get it done. I don't see that human connection finishing. I think it's very useful. There's and quite frankly, the real estate transaction is quite document heavy, and there's just so many forms, so many different type of liabilities that are involved, and very small tweaks to the system could make the buyer or the seller a lot of money. So my rule is always I have to add as much as my commission is of value to my buyer or seller, right? So that's my rules. Like if I'm selling a $10 million home, and my commission is what, $250,000, I got to add at least $250,000 worth of value to my client, and that's my benchmark for myself. And I go in there and I'm focusing on how I can get that done for them. And most of the time, my clients calm me down. They're like, Arvin, it's fine. Like we we're good. Like I'm like, I bet you I can get you another 50. I can get you another 100. And most of the time, they're like, no, Arvin, it's fine. This we're happy with the deal. Just let's close it. So that's always the approach I take with what I can do, and it's frankly how I negotiate for myself. So I'll tell my clients, look, this is what I would do, but I'm willing to walk away from any deal. And I don't know if you want to play the way I do, or if you want me to be more conservative or more risky. I can adjust my approach. So I'm very open about what I think I can achieve and how I would do it, but also letting them know that they could steer the wheel the way they want to as well, and I would obey and follow their instructions.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think that sounds like the ideal, job of a real estate agent. It's too bad not everyone thinks like you in this industry. But yeah, I mean, that seems to be an overarching theme throughout your life. Just add as much value as possible in the most authentic way possible, which I think is excellent.
It's otherwise it's not fun.
Yeah.
To me, it's like that's what the job is. The job is to win for your clients, to deliver for them, and if you take the fun out of it, then I wouldn't do it. I only want to do it because I would want to have fun, and when I get a deal from my client, I feel like I got a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I won, like I made the so it's. To me, it's super important to keep going. I have to keep that excitement on, and that way, they're happy, I'm happy, and I continue to do well in transactions and everything. So,
Gotcha. I love that. What got you into real estate, by the way? I don't remember if we touched on that.
So no, we had a lot of I had a lot of sales jobs all my life, and everyone was, Arvin, you would be a great real estate agent, and I was like. And we had a bad experience with a real estate agent ourselves. I helped my parents buy a house in Orange County,
Mm-hmm.
and they thought I should help them because I had bought a condo for myself in Boston, and and they were like, well, "You just bought yourself a condo, help us buy a house." And I didn't know anything about Orange County at the time, and I got them a tract home with no backyard in 2008. So. It was the worst time to buy property that had no backyard, and it was an attract development, which comps really bad during the crash. And our real estate agent never told us any of this stuff. Never told us what are the negatives of buying a tract home. Never told us the fact that the property had a small backyard, and that was a very small backyard for the neighborhood. We assumed all the other houses in our neighborhood had the same amount of backyard. It told us it's a great time to buy as expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were furious. I bought the property from my parents, I think for $850,000 in 2008, and they sold it in 2016 for $830,000. So they kept it for 8 years and they lost money. And for that reason, I didn't want to be a real estate agent. If everyone had told me, Arvin, like I had done sales almost all my life, and I was excellent at everything. And I've had maybe 10 different sales jobs, and we can talk about it. But, and I was just like, real estate agents are not honest, and they wouldn't tell you this, and that really, really hurt me. And hurt our family, who buys real estate for 8 years and lose money, So that really drove me to not do it. But then everyone was like, Arvin, you would be so good at it. And then I met Aaron Kerman, and I think he was very influential for me to go full time. I'm always grateful for the advice he gave me, because at the time I had a luxury sunglasses business in Beverly Hills, retail and distribution. I was selling, $1,200 sunglasses on Bedford Drive, and it was quite successful. I was making, very good living there, and I met Aaron. I was again. I joined his team. This was really, really early on. Maybe he had 5 or 6 different teammates at the time. He was just growing his team, and I just made 3 big sales right after each other. Big sales right off the bat, and Aaron sat me down and said, Arvin, how much more time you have on your lease, on your, on your lease on your store? I was like, a year. And he was like, if you close down the door to that store, how much would you be negative every month? And I was like, well, the rent was like around $8,000 a month, and all the expenses was like about $120,000 I would be losing. And then he kind of looked at me in the eye and said, Arvin, if you 100% commit your life into real estate, you know how well you can do in this. Do you think you can sell one more $5 million home if you do this 100% all the time? I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, then you know what to do. The next day I closed the shop. Lost a lot of money, went down to like $1,000 in my bank account, and then just skyrocketed after that, and it just went through the roof. But I owe that to him. He believed in me, and he convinced me to switch completely careers, and I was making very good money in that business. It was very profitable.
Wow, what an awesome story! The leap of faith.
Yeah. So I have a pretty high appetite for risk, and low fear, as long as it makes sense to me and it's logical, and I my heart is in it. And Aaron definitely made the ultra luxury real estate so much fun. I remember he was a great mentor in the beginning, where from the candles he would light up in his office, and how bougie and like luxury the feel and vibe was, and his marketing directors and creating all this stuff and the flowers, and it was just such a good vibe to come into. And I remember I would pretend I would have questions, which I didn't. And I would just go in front of his office while he's on the phone and just listen to pretend like I would have to go in and just listen to how he's talking to his clients. I was probably one of the most annoying salespeople he's ever had. I would follow him and annoy the crap out of him.
It's funny you say that, because I tend to do the same thing. Any opportunity I get to hear him or any other large agent in my office talk, to a client, or honestly in any situation, like I always try and listen in, because you can learn so much from it.
Yeah, just listening, the way they overcome objections, the way they build rapport. And Aaron is fantastic at it. I would just stand in there and hold some pieces of paper in front and like play around with them, pretending like I just need to talk.
Awesome. That's hilarious.
And then he realized, at some point, that I'm really analytical. I have an engineering background and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
I saw you actually, sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
I noticed you went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, which is where I actually went to college as well.
No way. That's awesome.
Such a great school. Love Cal Poly, and love to visit SLO whenever I get a chance. But anyway,
such a beautiful town.
Yeah,
such a beautiful town.
It really is the best.
So yeah, what was that?
Yeah, you were talking about Aaron Kerman and how he quickly kind of caught on to you, listening in on him.
Yeah. But then he realized I'm pretty analytical, and he would take me to listing appointments. He would take me to property valuation, and he would ask me to tell him how much the property's worth. Because he was like, I was really into it, obviously. So I remember going in, and I'll give him hand signals, like 32, like how much I think, and I'll write down the prices I think and give it to him, like for his listing appointments and stuff. And I would help him out, and I was happy to help him because I was learning so much from him.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think having mentors and people to look up to and learn from is so critical in any industry, but definitely in real estate sales. Before we finish up here, who are some other sort of standouts, people that you are currently watching, looking up to, or people who have inspired you to keep doing what you're doing?
I watch a lot of YouTubers, financial YouTubers. I really
Mm,
like Meet Kevin.
mm,
I think I used to dislike him. I didn't like his. I didn't like his. I thought he was too young. I thought he didn't know, and I definitely misjudged him. But it's been so impressive what he's accomplished for the past 4 or 5 years as a real estate agent, as a entrepreneur, as a content creator, as an ETF holder, as a he has his own fund purchasing real estate now, and his just dedication to growth, and how much if he just completely switched from real estate to finance, and he does an amazing job of um, uh, analyzing the companies that come on the market, and everything. He's got his Series 7 license now. He's definitely an inspiring person. I think he's 31, 32 years old, and he's also a family man. He's got 4 kids now.
wow.
So I really respect that. I think age is really just a number. He definitely drives me. I watch his market opens at the gym. So yeah, I follow his content, and I admire the fact that how committed he is to his craft.
Wonderful. I want to share something that's changing the game for agents. If you haven't heard about Sign More yet, listen up. Real estate has never been more 24/7. And with leads and clients calling around the clock, being available to capture every opportunity is core to growing your business. And trust me, you don't want to rely on voicemail. You want to show that you care, and the best way to do that is by having a real person answering your phone. That's where Sign More comes in. Day or night, your business is supported by property receptionists answering your calls, qualifying your leads, and scheduling your appointments. Along with 5-star service from real people, SignMore comes with a range of leading technology. This includes a mobile app, CRM integrations, live chat widget, appointment scheduling software, and my personal favorite, your own business number so you can keep your personal number private. As a sponsor of this podcast, I got a promo for all of you listening right now. Go to signmore.com/Aaron. That's signmore.com/Aaron, AARON, to get 30% off your first 3 months on Signmore's best value plan. Arvin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I think people are going to get a lot out of it. And I look forward to maybe doing this again sometime.
Thanks, Aaron. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.